Welcome to everyone around the world. Nice little short video for everybody. I just have one verse to read. All it takes is one verse to utterly destroy the ridiculous doctrine of Calvinism and any of the other faith only doctrines. Utterly destroyed with this one verse here alone. And I really like the thumbnail for this video because this doctrine is so bad, it's so stupid, and it's so unbiblical, and it's so heretical that Jesus would literally facepalm. He literally would facepalm. That's how bad it is. It astonishes me that after 2,000 years of human progression from more primitive times that people still believe in such a ridiculous doctrine. Okay, like once saved, always saved. All your guilt is wiped away. Here's your golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. You know what I mean? Just pick out Jesus from the Savior vending machine and you're good to go. You walk straight into the pearly gates. Right? That's the essence of Calvinism and all the faith-only doctrines. But they're destroyed by the following verse, which is from the mouth of Jesus himself. So if you have a problem with what I'm going to say, go take it up with Jesus. There's many of these false teachers out there, such as James White, many others who are deceiving millions and millions of people. And the scary thing is just how ignorant they are. And I'm not picking on James White, but anybody teaching that doctrine. The scary thing is they really think they're doing good for God, but they're really leading people down to the gates of hell. So let's stop listening to me and let's listen to Jesus. We're going to turn to Revelations 3. Okay, starting with verse 1. All I have to read are 3 verses. Oh, make it 4. It says, "And to the messenger of the assembly in Sardis write, These things saith he, who is having the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. I have known thy works, and that thou hast the name that thou dost live, and thou art dead. Become watching, and strengthen the rest of the things that are about to die. For I have not found thy works fulfilled before God. Remember then how thou hast received and heard, and be keeping, and reform. If then thou mayest not watch, I will come upon thee as a thief, and thou mayest not know what hour I will come upon thee. Thou hast a few names, even in Sardis, who did not defile their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, because they are worthy. He who is overcoming, this one shall be arrayed in white garments, and I will not blot out his name from the scroll of the life, and I will confess his name before my Father and before his messengers. He who is having an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith to the assemblies." So I'll just point out some things for people, because obviously any Calvinist or faith-only person will be so stuck in their quicksand dogma that they won't be able to escape. So let me drill it home for everybody. This is Jesus speaking. Jesus has just said to the church of Sardis that he has not found thy works fulfilled before God. Yet Calvinism and all the faith-only doctrines teach works don't do anything. Works don't save you. God doesn't care about works. It's all about faith, faith, faith. Why? Because, the reality is it's easy to have faith in something. It's very hard to actually be righteous and not sin. So, go walk down easy street. Go imagine that you're saved, you got salvation, you got your golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory in heaven. Keep good thinking that, right? I listen to God and Jesus is telling a church that he has not found thy works fulfilled before God. But what would James White and all the other false preachers say? They would say, oh, works don't matter to God. Oh, okay. Well, then we go look at verse 3. Jesus gives a command and instruction to reform. He says, remember then how thou was received. Receive what? The good word. And heard. And be keeping. And reform. Well, Calvinism and faith-only doctrine don't even teach reformation. I mean, why would they need to? You just get your golden ticket to heaven because you picked out Jesus. You said his name once. Boom, you're good to go. right? Nothing that you have done, nothing that you will do or could do will ever matter to God, because works don't matter according to Calvinism and faith only. But yet we have Jesus here saying that it does matter and that you have to reform. And he says if you don't reform, if you're not paying attention, if you don't watch, that he will come upon thee as a thief. And you may not know what hour I will come upon thee. You see, all the churches love to say that, oh, Jesus is going to come upon the earth as a thief, for all the bad guys. Because the churches don't want to think that they're the bad guys. Well, Jesus is saying this to a church, and he's saying, if you don't reform, I'm going to come upon thee as a thief. What church would it be? I mean, obviously the church Jesus is talking to hasn't reformed. That's why he's chastising them. So let's look at the churches today. Which churches don't reform? Calvinism, faith only. Thank you. So Jesus is speaking to these ignorant, dark churches. Okay, if you don't reform, he's going to come upon you like a thief. But Jesus pointed out, he said there's a few names even in Sardis who did not defile their garments. He's not talking about your Nike sweater. He's talking about the white garment you get when you reform. Because when you reform and you turn from your sin and you turn to God, that is when God forgives all your sin. Go study the Old Testament. Go study the New Testament. It's throughout the Old and the New Testament. End of story. You have to reform to be forgiven. You're not forgiven because you picked out Jesus from the Savior vending machine. Give me a break. Give me a break. You have to earn your salvation. You have to stop sinning. Not to say, oh, it's so hard. I can't possibly stop sinning. That's why Jesus died for me. You know what I mean? No, Jesus says, even in Sardis, the one he's rebuking, there are some who did not defile their garments. That's what he's talking about. And they, the ones who didn't defile their garments, how do you keep your garment? If you got a clean garment because you got forgiven, you're forgiven, your garment's white. So you got your white garment. You got to walk with Christ in white. But if you're still sinning because you're thinking in your little Calvinist faith-only mind, oh, I'm powerless to stop sinning. That's why we sacrificed God. You know what I mean? So that we could, our guilt will just be waved away and we'll get our free ticket into heaven. If that's what you're thinking, you're blemishing your garment. So that's why Jesus says, those who did not defile their garments, they shall walk with me in white. In white. He doesn't say in spotted clothes. He says in white, because they are worthy. So what does this also tell you? That if you dirty your garments, you're not worthy. So if you're going to a Calvinist church or a faith-only church that teaches you, oh, we're powerless to stop sinning, that's why we sacrificed God and we eat his body and drink his blood, because, hey, let's kill God when we don't want to get in trouble, right? If you have a school full of students who act up in class and the teacher gives them a detention, and then all the students come together and say, hey, how can we get out of detention? Hey, let's go kill the principal. So the students gather together, they put the principal to death, they kill the principal. And then they all celebrate, hey, we don't have to go to detention now. That's Calvinist, that's faith-only church. All right? That's heathenism. That's heresy. Okay? Jesus says you got to keep your garment white. And if you ain't got it white to start with, you ain't worthy to start with. Okay, if you reform, if you stop sinning, then you got your white garment, which is your forgiveness. Okay, your reborn pure nature. The one that you earned. You know what I mean? You didn't just get it from a vending machine. You earned it by stop sinning. Right? And if you walk with him in white, you are worthy. Okay? And that's why Jesus says in the verse 5, the next verse, he who is overcoming. What do you have to overcome if, hey, let's just go kill the principal. Let's go kill God and we got no guilt. How is that overcoming anything? What did you overcome? What did you achieve besides killing God in your own twisted view frame anyways, right? But Jesus says, he who is overcoming, this one shall be arrayed in white garments. This isn't some pretty outfit that you get when you go to heaven. That's the garment you are when you reform and you're reborn, right? And it says, I will not blot out his name from the scroll of the life, and I will confess his name before my Father and before his messengers. So what does that tell you? That tells you that if you dirty your garments, or if you don't even get your white garments, you're not in the book of life, right? Because Jesus says, he who is overcoming, this one, shall be arrayed in white garments, and I will not blot out his name from the scroll of the life. and I'll confess his name before my Father and before his messengers. Says it all. Says it all. I mean, I could be here for hours reading all the other verses that disprove faith-only doctrine, but this is one verse alone that destroys Calvinism and faith-only doctrine. And if any of you out there listening to this video believe in that nonsense, you better get out of it before Jesus comes upon you like a thief. Because I could tell you now, you're going to sit here, I mean, you might be a nice person, you might mean well, this and that there, good for you, right? When Jesus comes back to this earth, we will all be judged, no matter what you want to think. Okay, we will all be judged. And because it's that important, I will read the following verse, because faith-only churches also teach that they won't be judged. You know, because they're just so special. They're so, and you see, these faith-only people are so intelligent. They realized the great salvation is just go up to the Messiah vending machine. Oh, here's Jesus. Okay, he costs $2.25. Well, I got $2.25 on me. Blink, blink, blink. Chink. Oh, cool, I got Jesus. I'm good to go now. I'll just go present my golden candy wrapper to Willy Wonka and get in the factory. That's what faith only teaches, right? And there's no need to be judged when you think you've got guaranteed salvation. Hey, you got it, you don't lose it. That's what they teach. Once saved, always saved, right? You ain't going to be judged. Really? Well, watch this. Destroy it again with the second verse. Even though I said I'd only do one verse. And we can find it in 2 Corinthians 5:10. This is where I'll end the video. It says, for all of us. That's definitely talking to the Christians, right? So for all of us, it behooveth to be manifested before the tribunal of the Christ, that each one may receive the things done through the body in reference to the things that he did, whether good or evil. Now go put that into your faith-only computer and try to calculate, because your computer's going to blow up. It can't compute that, okay, with your faith-only twist on it. How can you say you're not going to be judged because once saved, always saved, when it just says right here that we're all going to be before the tribunal of the Christ to be judged? And how can you, with your faith-only Calvinist ridiculous doctrine, teach that, oh, no matter what you do, your works don't matter to God, when it says that each one may receive the things done through the body in reference to the things that he did, whether good or evil? But hey, who would you rather listen to? God and Jesus, or these false preachers, these wolves in sheep's clothing, leading you down to the fiery pits of hell? Oh, it sounds so bad. I'm saying you're going to go to hell for believing this stuff. Stop and think about it, man. God comes, you're going to be judged like I just proved. Okay, whether you're faith only, what, don't matter. No matter what church you go to, you're going to be judged. And when you go stand to be judged, all the faith-only people are going to be standing there like, oh boy, I can't wait. I get to go to the front of the line. I'm going to get special treatment. I have a quick pass into the pearly gates. And then you're going to go stand in line and you're going to run to the front of the line. Oh, let me in first. I'm a faith-only. I'm a Calvinist. And God's going to say, no, get to the back of the line. Wait in line. You're all going to be judged. And by the way, you did a whole pile of bad stuff that you never even reformed from. And then you're going to say, oh, why do I have to reform? Jesus died for my sins. And God's going to say, is that, that's where I'm going to end the video. You can figure it out. The rest by yourself. God bless you all. Everybody take care.